Chapter 6 Uncharted Waters, Part 2. As the summer faded into autumn, Mina immersed herself in a rigorous training schedule, balancing her swimming competitions with her growing magical abilities. Each day blurred into the next, a relentless cycle of early mornings and late evenings spent in the water or at the gym, where she pushed her limits. But as the leaves turned to gold and crimson, she felt the stirrings of something new, a desire to explore different realms of athleticism beyond the confines of the pool. One crisp Saturday morning, Mina found herself standing at the edge of a vibrant track field, surrounded by the buzz of excited spectators. The local high school was hosting its annual track and field competition, a spirited event that drew participants from neighboring towns. Though she had never competed in track before, Mina's curiosity was piqued by the athleticism of the runners, and the atmosphere buzzed with energy. She had decided to cheer for a few of her swimming friends participating in the events, hoping to experience the thrill of competition from a different perspective. Mina's gaze drifted across the field, absorbing the sights and sounds, the sound of sneakers hitting the pavement, the rhythmic chants from the crowd, and the bright colors of team uniforms swirling like a whirlpool of enthusiasm. She settled into her seat, her heart quickening as she watched the athletes sprint down the track, their determination palpable. Among the crowd, she spotted a familiar face, Thomas, a boy she recognized from the stories that floated around her own school. He was not someone she knew personally, but the whispers about his athletic prowess had reached her ears. A rising star in the running community, Thomas was often lauded for his speed and skill. Though they lived in different towns and attended separate schools, Mina had caught glimpses of him in local competitions and news articles. The thought of their worlds colliding sent a ripple of excitement through her. As she watched him warm up, she felt a flicker of admiration. His focus was intense, his body coiled with energy like a spring ready to release. Mina couldn't help but wonder if he, too, felt the weight of expectations that had begun to settle on her shoulders. Would he understand the delicate balance she was trying to strike between her ambitions and the magical storm brewing within her? The race began, and Mina held her breath as Thomas lined up at the starting block. The starting gun fired, and he shot off like a rocket, leaving the others in his wake. It was a display of raw talent and determination, and Mina found herself cheering along with the crowd, feeling the thrill of competition surge through her veins. As the runners rounded the final curve, Thomas surged ahead, crossing the finish line with a victorious burst of speed. The crowd erupted into cheers, and Mina clapped along, her heart swelling with pride for a boy she barely knew. In that moment, the barriers of their separate lives seemed to fade, and she felt an inexplicable connection to him, a shared understanding of the relentless pursuit of greatness. After the race, the field began to clear as people trickled away, but Mina lingered, hoping to catch a glimpse of Thomas celebrating his win. She watched as he was congratulated by friends and coaches, their laughter echoing in the air. He stood there, a hero in the eyes of his peers, basking in the glory of his achievement. But as she observed from a distance, a pang of longing welled up within her. She craved that recognition, that sense of belonging in the athletic community, yet the thought of approaching him felt daunting. Despite the electric atmosphere of the day, Mina was reminded of the isolation that came with her fame, the pressure to excel, the expectations that loomed large. With a heavy heart, she turned to leave, ready to retreat back into the familiar embrace of her own world. As she walked away from the track, she couldn't shake the feeling of being an outsider, even amidst the celebration. She longed for connection, for someone who could truly understand the delicate balance of her life, the magical and the mundane. As the weeks passed, the seasons shifted, and Mina found herself engulfed in the routine of her training. She continued to excel in swimming, winning medals and accolades that adorned her room like trophies of triumph. Yet as her fame grew, so did her internal struggle. The whispers of her magical abilities grew louder, their tantalizing allure beckoning her to explore uncharted territories. At home, her uncle beamed with pride, showcasing her achievements to anyone who would listen. "Mina is going to be the best swimmer in the country," he would declare, a wide grin plastered across his face. but behind those words lay a pressure that felt suffocating. Mina understood that every medal, every accolade came with an unspoken burden, the weight of expectations that threatened to crush her spirit. During one particularly challenging training session, Mina pushed herself to the limit, the water turning into a tempest around her. As she completed lap after lap, she felt the familiar pulse of magic beneath the surface, urging her to embrace it. But fear held her back. The risk of losing control loomed large in her mind. Every time she reached for her powers, she felt a distinct warning, reminding her that surrendering fully could unleash chaos. In the weeks that followed, the spark of magic within her became more pronounced, and with it came a restlessness she couldn't ignore. She began to experiment with small bursts of magic during training, subtly weaving it into her strokes, feeling it enhance her performance. It was exhilarating and terrifying, a dance between power and restraint. One afternoon, as she practiced alone, the sun casting golden rays on the water, Mina felt a rush of confidence. She decided to push her limits further, willing to test the boundaries of her abilities. As she dove into the pool, the water swirled around her, responding to her every movement as if alive. The magic coursed through her, a current she couldn't resist, and for the first time she felt a connection between her swimming and her powers, a harmonious blend of magic and athleticism. But just as quickly as it came, the magic surged, creating waves that crashed against the pool's edge, startling her coaches, who were observing from a distance. Mina surfaced, breathing heavily, her heart racing. The thrill of what she had done flickered like a flame inside her, but it was quickly overshadowed by the fear of the chaos she had created. "What was that?" one of her coaches exclaimed, rushing to the edge of the pool. Mina's cheeks flushed with embarrassment, and she could only shake her head, her mind racing with the implications of her actions. From that day forward, the fear of her own power became a constant companion, reminding her that the line between control and chaos was razor thin. Mina learned to tone down her magic in every race, often holding back just enough to avoid drawing attention or causing havoc. It was an exhausting tightrope walk, and she felt the disappointment of losing opportunities weigh heavily on her. As the year drew to a close, Mina resolved to find a way to master her abilities, determined not to let them consume her. The world beyond the pool seemed to beckon her, and she longed for the connection she had felt that day at the track competition. But for now, she would channel her energy into her training, hoping that one day she would find the balance between her swimming and her magic, a way to unite the two worlds that felt so separate, yet so intertwined.